I just saw the brand new F1 movie directed by Joseph Kosinski and starring Brad Pitt, and I gotta say, this was a great movie. I have seen a bunch of mid-movies in a row, and this movie just finally took me back to the magic of going to the theater. This was a movie that I was so excited about because I am a huge F1 fan myself, so when I found out that they were making an F1 movie starring one of my favorite actors, and also with one of my favorite directors who directed Top Gun Maverick, one of my favorite movies of all time, I was super hyped up for this film. And it did not let me down. This is one of the best movies that I have seen this year. I think this might be one of my favorite sports movies of all time. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about some positives, then some negatives, and then I will give you guys my rating out of 10. Okay, time for me to start gushing about this movie. Number one, I want to say the racing scenes are phenomenal. I guess they used iPhone cameras on the cars and everything to give us some really cool POV shots. And just some really cool cockpit shots and just racing shots in general, because Apple is one of the companies involved with making this movie, and they throw the cash at making their films and shows, and you can definitely see it on the screen. So the racing scenes, they were super suspenseful, they were really high octane, they were shot really well. I think the sound design in this movie was great, and the score, oh my god, and the soundtrack, holy smokes. I have been listening to the F1 movie soundtrack for the last couple of weeks now. Pretty much every song on there I think is a banger. And the way they use that music in this movie is done really, really well, and I think a lot of people are going to really like this soundtrack. Next, I gotta talk about performances. I think Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem are the standouts, but Damson Idris is really good too. Just phenomenal acting across the board. Like, everyone brought their A-game for this movie. I thought the drama was really well done, and the story, it's kind of basic and kind of predictable to a degree, but I think it works for a movie like this. This is like your classic story of, like, you know, you've got an older athlete, he's paired up with a younger athlete, and they gotta work together to win. Obviously, there's twists and turns along the way. Some of it's predictable, some of it's not, but I enjoyed that story. You've got Sonny Hayes, who is like a 40 or 50-something-year-old guy who never got his true chance or his shot at Formula One. And then a former colleague of his and friend, the character that Javier Bardem was playing, Ruben, invites him to race for his team. So after 30 years of not achieving his dream of racing in Formula One, he gets handed the chance on a silver platter. He's skeptical at first, and there's obviously going to be a lot of obstacles and hurdles along the way. It's not just smooth sailing. He doesn't just come to Formula One and he's like the best racer on the grid by any means. And there's also a lot of conflict with his partner and also with Ruben as well. And I just loved the story. Like, it was simple in premise, but it was just so engaging, so intriguing, and just a joy to watch on the big screen. The movie was also surprisingly pretty funny. There's a lot of jokes in here. They're kind of deadpan or dry humor, but it really works, especially for me and my comedy taste. I think I laughed maybe 5 or 6 times in this movie, which is kind of crazy for a racing film. But the rest of the film was actually pretty serious and high stakes. Joseph Kosinski, man, you have done it again. Another classic sports film. He just knows how to make blockbuster films that pretty much everyone is going to enjoy, especially like the guys out there. Pretty much my entire theater was like dudes that were 45 plus, and that's pretty crazy because I feel like that demographic doesn't really go to the theater all that often. So to get that demographic to actually go to the theater, a lot of them will bring, you know, their wife or their girlfriend or whatever, or friends, family, is actually pretty special. And I think Joseph Kosinski is a mastermind at getting a lot of people into the theater. Just look at how well Top Gun Maverick did. He takes pretty simple stories and premise and just makes them super exciting to watch on the big screen, and he did it again with the F1 movie. Now, another thing I want to praise about this film is how much they integrated into real-life F1, because there's a lot of sports films like this where, you know, they're not going to get real-life F1 people like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and so on and so forth to actually be in their movie. They would just cast other people, put them in like a Mercedes uniform, and call it a day. And I am super, super happy to say that they actually got Formula One drivers, team principals, and other people involved with F1, like announcers and journalists and stuff, brought them all into this movie, which made it feel really, really real. Which is awesome because it really immerses you in the F1 world, and as an F1 fan myself, I thought that was fantastic. Now let's talk about some negatives. So the first one I would say is the movie is just a little bit too long. It stands at 2 hours and 35 minutes. I think if it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours 15 minutes, I think that could have been the perfect length. I also think the final race could have been a little bit better. I think they should have led into it a little bit more and made it more suspenseful and just really built up that suspense, but it kind of just like happens and it's starting and it didn't really have this insane buildup. And then also something happens in that race that brings the race to a halt, which I think brought the movie to a halt as well. And I think if they just kept it super fast paced, super high stakes throughout, I think that would have made for a better final race. I would also say the romance felt a little bit forced. Like, I feel like we didn't really need romance between the team principal and Brad Pitt's character of Sonny. I can see how some people are going to like it, especially, if you bring your girlfriend or wife or whatever. I think having a bit of romance in a movie like this is a positive, but I don't think it was needed. It did feel a little bit forced. It was almost like, okay, we need a love interest. Okay, let's make it the team principal, and there we go. But yeah, honestly, other than that, I don't really have any complaints with this movie. I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time. This is one of the best movies I've seen in probably the last couple of years. Now, obviously, I might be a little bit biased considering I am a big F1 fan, and I'm just so happy that they nailed it with the F1 movie. I also wish we fleshed out some of the other characters, like Damson Idris's character. We get to know a little bit about him, but not a whole lot. And I think if we fleshed him out and really, really understood him well, then I think his character, and when he has conflict with Brad Pitt's character, would have been a little bit better. But he kind of takes a back seat, no pun intended, in this movie, and we get to learn more about Sonny. And I guess that makes sense because he's the main character, but I'm just saying I would have liked to have known more about Damson Idris's character and the team principal and some other characters as well. But with that being said, guys, I had a great time watching the F1 movie. I am going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think this is a fantastic movie. It's a great sports film. It's just a great film in general. And Joseph Kosinski has done it again. Now, I do like Top Gun Maverick slightly better than this one. I would give Top Gun Maverick a 9.5 out of 10, and then I would give the F1 movie a 9. Two fantastic films, and I would say if you're an F1 fan like myself, definitely rush to the theaters and watch this thing because it is a very good time at the movies. So guys, that is my review for the F1 movie starring Brad Pitt. I think it's a fantastic film. Definitely go see it. Definitely buy it on Blu-ray or 4K. Whenever it comes out, I'm going to buy it, and I am going to blast the speakers and just relive some of those high-octane races seen in the film. And yeah, I can't wait to see it again. I might even go to the theaters again. And if I can get the D-Box seats that move around, I think that would make for an even better experience. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the movie. If you have seen it, let me know what you thought about it down below.